So I thought I'd see what the webinar was all about.
So last time we talked a little bit about reopening, and we talked about fitness classes and how we were doing them. Some people were using Instagram, and some people were using Zoom, and some people, Chris was using a different program that he has decided he doesn't like anymore. So we were just kind of saying, you know, here's what's working for us and here's what wasn't. One of the things that was troubling a lot of people was music copyright. So we had a discussion about, can you say a disclaimer at the first where you don't own copyright to this music? And I discovered that that doesn't work, that Instagram will still kick you off, but that you can actually subscribe to Yes Fitness, and they have non-copyrighted music, or you can use YouTube playlists that are non-copyrighted. And that's been working a little bit for us. We've also been doing them on Zoom and then recording them so that we can throw them on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's what we're doing as well.
Yeah, so that you get the live interaction piece that some people want, and then you can also do the replay. Has anyone else's numbers dwindled?
We've added a bunch of classes, so it's kind of hard to say. So people are kind of, spreading it out a bit.
Leanne?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of classes on offer right now. We're just doing a couple a week, and they've been pretty consistent in attendance, but I've been wondering that because we're looking at offering a lot more. Mm-hmm. I don't know where you're all at with September, but that's what we're starting to think about now, because we've been told that there's a very good possibility that we'll be 100% virtual in September. And although that hasn't been decided, apparently the university is going to make that decision around June 1st. So I was actually just given directive today that we need to start making plans to have an extensive virtual presence. How are we going to engage students? All that kind of stuff, which I wouldn't mind talking about a little bit. One of the fun parts of what I was also told was that we have to do this with no temporary casual staff, because we're not going to be allowed to hire anyone. So that means that I have myself and one other fitness instructor who can kind of do an entire activity-based program. Possibly we might be able to use some volunteers, so student staff, former staff who taught and been temporary casual staff in the past. If they want to volunteer to teach, then we could put them on the schedule as well.
Crazy.
Can I just ask, are you planning on charging for any of your online stuff? No.
Right now, no. It would be, we may do passwords, something that we will, we have a huge student body, so it would be impossible to do it even just for McMaster students, right? We might do something to kind of, and obviously be communicated on our social media, so it would be out there. Yeah, we're not going to charge. We discussed it, and there might be, I've been looking at some areas like personal training and whether we could take that online and charge for that. But in terms of fitness and doing classes and offerings virtually, that would be free. That seems to be something that everyone's pretty unanimous on.
We just got the word today that we will be online come September.
And sorry, Chris, what school are you from?
SAS Polytech.
Okay.
So we have 4 campuses here in Saskatchewan, so we kind of run jointly. So we just got told that we're more than likely online. So now we are having to figure that out. Yeah. So we started with 2 classes a week, and we are now at 10 with sometimes 12. It seems to be going really well, so we're kind of hoping to kind of stick with that schedule come September. And we'll just
who's teaching the classes?
So there's 2 full-time staff, so myself and another guy, and we have still our casual staff that we're still under contract until the end of June. So they're doing some classes for us right now, but they're also done in June. So normally what would happen is Dwayne and I would be done work for the summer. So we're going to just kind of do 1 class a week so we can keep putting some content on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what we're going to do in September. I don't think that we're going to be made to do such a full schedule if it's just going to be him and I. I think we'll be able to do some casual staff. I'm hoping, but we'll see.
Chris, if you have them on contract for the next month or so, could you not ask them to just teach classes, record them, and then put out recorded digital content?
So we have them doing that right now. So their live classes that we're doing, they're also doing on Zoom and then posting them. But I guess their contract is only like 2 hours, 3 hours a week. And that's pretty much taken up already doing that live Zoom classes. If we had extra hours, I think that's what we would end up doing, is getting them to record a bunch of extra stuff. And then we could just maybe save it for September and next semester. But we don't unfortunately have them that much. So
yeah, because I was debating, could we, for fall, make some sort of fitness membership that we email out the Zoom password daily, and even charging like $10 a month, and you get all the access. So there's some money coming in so that we can hire some sort of staff to teach the classes, because it's not reasonable that 1 or 2 full-time staff are the people who are teaching all the classes, and most of us don't have 7 or 8 certifications. We probably have 2 or 3 and can muddle our way through several, but that's taking us away from our other parts of our job as well.
Yeah.
No one wants to see me try to teach Zumba.
I'm with you, Leanne. I have no dance, just not a dancer.
I love the program, but I'm not teaching it. No. Yeah, that's the problem. That, I mean, we're still working with HR to see about using volunteer staff, because we've been told pretty definitively. McMaster's in a unique position right now. We take, like some other schools, we have student fees that you can't opt out of. So all our undergrads automatically have a membership to our fitness center and access to our classes. But some of those fees are being reimbursed. However, we're also in the midst of a major renovation and expansion, which is this has turned out to be about the worst possible time. So we're scheduled to be moving out of the Pulse. There's my doorbell, of course. Sorry about that. We're scheduled to be moving out of our fitness center in June and going to temporary spaces. So we were going to be really impacted anyway, and now it looks like we might be virtually impacted. So it's interesting. I'm going to just excuse me for 1 second.
I do think that we're going to end up being able to hire some contract instructors. We've been in a little bit of a unique situation, kind of rebranding the whole wellness side of things for us. We don't actually take in any sort of fees for wellness, which was supposed to change come September. We were getting some recreation software. We're going to get Fusion actually. So that's a little bit on the, I guess, downside right now, because IT is too busy to help us and all that other jazz. So it'll just end up being free. So we'll see what happens.
We've been lucky at the U of W. We still have staff on contract for instructing. We had initially ended their contracts, and then with the creation of all of the online offerings, we were able to reinstate them for anyone who was interested in and do our. So all of our instructors are on contract until the end of August. So as long as budget-wise we're still allowed to offer them and pay them, we'll be able to continue throughout the summer. But it's still, I mean, it's cheaper than having staff and paying staff at the front desk and what the money, but, or how many we're going to continue offering. But as far as I know right now, we're continuing as is. But I had a question. Chris, you said, are you guys video or recording all of your Zoom classes?
We are, yeah.
We haven't been. I'm thinking it might be, I think but I mean, most people don't turn on their cameras, so it's not really a huge risk of anybody.
So we've been spotlighting our instructor. So then when you record it, that's actually the only screen that shows up on the recording.
Does it? Okay, well, that's good.
So we started out with that for the first couple of weeks. We decided we want to try to get something a little bit of better quality video. So we've been testing a few things. We got some pretty decent webcams. They didn't really work. So we bought these cheap 4K video recorders actually off Amazon for $200 each. And really, they work awesome. The SD card fits in right into our computers, because that was what we were running into before, is the files were getting so big on our webcams, and then getting the file off our phone just wasn't working. It has a good camera on our kind of iPhones, but it's so hard to get that awesome video off of there. So we actually bought these, and they work really well. So it's turned out pretty good. They go 4K, and we've been putting that on YouTube. It takes a little while to dub music over it and do all that other jazz, but they turn out pretty decent. So we're going to kind of keep going with that.
So you're recording them off Zoom?
Yes. For some of our other instructors, like our yoga instructors and stuff, we've kind of just let them do their computer or whatever kind of webcam that they have. Eventually, it would be nice to get them all a camera, but that is also not really in our budget either. So we'll kind of just see how it goes from there.
So what do you do? Like, I mean, we haven't been recording them because and it's just allowing everyone to get used to what they're doing at first. But
yeah,
once you have the recording, then maybe that's something I could do for. I didn't have to discuss it here unless everyone else wants it, but.
It gets automatically recorded onto the computer, and with Windows 10 or whatever, I guess is what we have on our computer, there's actually a video editor on it. Super easy, just type in video in that bottom search thing. Okay, just a second. And really all we use that for is cutting the beginning and the end, unless I really need to add music. Some of our instructors just like to do it with it, and YouTube has been good. We're not monetizing it at all, so they don't care that we have it up there. But some of our classes, yes, I know. I've been trying to put some music on top of it as well, and it works excellent as well. Both, like, just super cheap program. It's already on your computer, obviously. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, what do you need, bud?
I was just going to add, I know we talked, or someone had mentioned earlier about, we do pay an athletic levy. All of our students pay athletic levy. I think those athletic levies have been reimbursed for spring session. And I don't know what's happening. I know I've heard that registration for spring at the U of W has been very high. And I think registration is high for fall. I'm not sure if that's online or if that's in session and what they're doing. I haven't heard that stuff, but you know, there's that. We want everyone to hopefully, you know, not want their money returned for fall as well.
So we had our president have an interview with our student newspaper last week, in which he said that fees like campus rec and athletics wouldn't be charged in the fall, which was a shock to my boss when I pointed that out to her. So for us, it looks like we're not getting fees again in the fall. And Western's plan currently, from what that article said, was that they would have bigger classes online and then smaller classes hopefully in person. So I think they're trying to do a hybrid, but that they would still like our center to be closed. But at the same time, my boss is actually tasking me with how could I open and what would that look like? Has anyone else been tasked with changing their fitness center and getting that opened?
Yeah, John and I have been, actually we were in our fitness center yesterday. Well, one, we have some really old equipment that we've been dying to get rid of, so it's an excuse to start the removal process of that. But we made, we had our physical plant workers. I mean, this is just in the hopes that we can open. Mm-hmm. We might need to remove more equipment or still close down more, but we were able to, with whatever machines we kept, we were able to spread them all out 6 feet apart, making sure that in directions they're all 6 feet apart. Plus our cardio equipment, we kind of just went through and said, okay, if we're doing this, it's this one's open, this one's open, this one's closed, and you know, spread it out. So we tried to get a good layout of what our second floor is. There's still lots of work to do on the main floor, but in deciding what would be open and closed, but just trying to get a sense of what that is going to look like when we're eventually allowed to hopefully reopen.
We had
So-
that.
Oh.
We had
Go
that
ahead, Chris.
conversation this morning, actually, in a meeting where we kind of got told that we're more than likely online. My question was, well, are we going to be able to open as a gym, right? Because fitness centers are going to be able to open soon, hopefully here in Saskatchewan. And are we going to be able to open that if we're going to have online classes, strictly online classes come the fall? And it sounds like we're not going to be able to open our fitness center, gymnasiums, any of that kind of stuff. We're going to have to wait until we have classes again, essentially. So
if we're allowed back into the building, we might be able to actually stream our fitness classes from our building, which would be helpful because then you could buy one piece of equipment and actually have that streamed that way. For me, when I looked at my fitness center, for anyone who's been to Western, we have no space and I have things back to back. So my only plan is that because drop-in fitness would not be allowed, things like basketball, volleyball, badminton, because of the contact and the 6 feet, my idea is to actually take my fitness center and spread it out amongst the 6 gyms that we have and blocking everything so that people would be booking one station. And Fusion has just sent out an update last week saying that they now have reservations so people could book their time. My idea was that people would be booking, you're booking rack number 2 and you have 45 minutes there. Our facility manager has ordered the backpack sprayers so that, you'd have 45 minutes of the equipment, then the staff would have 15 minutes to spray everything down. And then the next round of people would come in. But that's severely going to limit the amount of people we have the ability to accommodate each day. So I'm not sure how that's going to roll out, but right now that's kind of what I'm looking at to see if it's possible.
that was my biggest question too, was if we're not allowed to have our patrons in there, are we going to be able to be in there as staff to tape our classes, right? Because I'm doing it in my basement. I really don't have much here. It sucks. It's like 8 feet. So my hope was to be able to get into our facility to at least do our live classes and our taping from there. So she's going to check into it for me, but I'm not holding my breath.
At McMaster, I've asked the same question, and our facilities are very reluctant to allow us access to the building because of the expansion and renovation I told you about. I'm actually going in on Thursday to pack up my office. And I was thinking, I wonder if I could just take an hour and record a class in the studio, but I don't even think I'm going to be able to pack up my office in one full day, let alone then actually record a class too and stuff. But I'm hoping that we can move them towards that, especially if we're virtual in the fall, that maybe we could come in and use one of the studios because it does look more professional and you have access to more space. You don't have toddlers and dogs coming into the camera, like there's all that stuff. I think it just makes you feel a little more professional. And then for the students, it's the environment that they're used to being in, right? So they get to at least see the studio that they're used to doing classes in. And maybe we could do a virtual cycling class for anybody. That's what I was wondering. Has anyone thought of doing that? Of doing a virtual cycling class? Because some people do have access to bikes at home or can put a trainer on the road bike.
I've had an instructor offer, but I haven't actually put it on the schedule just because I didn't think it applied to everyone.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking too. But then I was wondering if it would be better to have it for especially as we get into the fall and the weather starts to change and people who ride outside can't do that so much. So cycling would be particularly challenging to get back to if we were going to be going live again, right?
The other thing I was thinking about, and I don't know if everyone's school would be willing, is that being that we're probably not getting fees and we're all kind of crunched on budget, is if we created one YouTube channel that we all shared our videos and that all of our students had access to. Because if I'm producing 12 a week and somebody else is producing 4, well, what if we only each had to produce 4 and we have a variety of different classes? And then it's kind of the SIRA sports and recreation classes as opposed to, Western or UVic or wherever. Like, could we work together to produce a large amount of content and then save ourselves some money as well?
I think that's a really good idea, Michelle. When we first started, when we first started looking at the online classes, there was a part of me that was like, well, why are we redoing what everyone else is doing? You know, why are we trying to engage? But I mean, if you gather up all this free stuff, send it out saying, hey, here's some great, connect directly with. But if we work together as a group, you know, here's this university offering, you know, but we're all in one, instead of everyone doing it all kind of not half-assed, but you know, we're all learning but yeah, you can do more quality in smaller amounts as opposed to being stretched really thin, trying to get it all covered. It's a good idea.
Well, especially when I don't know how many contracts other people are allowed to have, but I was allowed to hire 6 instructors and that was my max. Well, Zumba, I don't have a Zumba instructor under contract right now, so we're not offering Zumba, but if somebody else does, but they see that, like, I have 3 yoga classes a week, so maybe you don't need to hire a yoga instructor because I have that covered. So that was just one of my thoughts, but I know certain universities might not want it to do that. And we'd have to talk about how we wanted the introduction and maybe standard scripts together. But that was one thought I have of how we could work together for the fall if we're all digital content.
I was looking on the NIRSA website a little while ago, and I ran into that link that I just posted in the chat, the 2020 recreation movement. So I was just talking to them this week, and it's basically what you were just saying. It looks like a bunch of the schools in the states have kind of teamed up to share their fitness videos. And so I guess every week a schedule is posted, and if your school's registered in the challenge, then you can access any of the classes. And I think that they're on different types of platforms, maybe YouTube. They're also using TikTok. And then they on the website, when you go on there, it ranks the schools that they're trying to build up to. I think it was like 5 million minutes or something like that. And I emailed them just to find out more. It doesn't cost anything. NIRSA is running it, so you don't have to pay anything for your school to participate. And it looks like they're going just till the end of May, and I don't know if they'll extend it. But we could maybe do something like that.
Michelle, I was going to ask you, when you mentioned Fusion, have you met with them yet? Or are you setting up a meeting to talk with them? We haven't.
My facility manager is. I'm not sure how everyone else is feeling with Fusion, but anything they've launched lately has kind of failed miserably. So I'm a little hesitant. You're laughing at me, Chris. You must agree.
No, we're waiting to get Fusion, so I cringe every time people start telling me nightmare stories. So
yeah, well, I've been with Fusion since 2009, and there's always lots of problems, and so we're looking to actually get away from Fusion, but we haven't quite set up a meeting to see what this new reservation piece is. I think that'll be coming very shortly, and maybe we should set up a meeting for all of us so that we all know what that's looking like, and how that reservation system is going, to be working for the fall, or the winter, or whenever we're actually allowed to open up and have reservations allowed.
Our main Fusion person was looking at that a little bit, and she said, I mean, I think they said it's mostly the same as running through programs like the workout reservations or the check-ins, are similar to which we run programs. But yeah, we've had some, this is our 2nd year in Fusion, or maybe starting our 3rd, something like that. But every time we update, there's something goes. Lockers was a disaster. I don't know how that.
Lockers still isn't fixed.
No. If it's not, they fixed one part of it, and there was something else that happened. But we could have a whole class about. We could have a whole session about.
That will require a lot of wine if we're going to be talking about Fusion. So we'll have to do that at maybe a 4 o'clock time zone or something.
Yeah, well, I need that so I can get the down low on what I need to be ready to be upset with.
Over.
What's that?
just learn not to celebrate. Anytime you celebrate high about something, you get some, the fusion gods will destroy you in another way.
Okay.
Stay very neutral and never celebrate. Just be happy when it, you know.
Okay.
In terms of,
We call it confusion instead of fusion.
but in all fairness, we had no software before, so we are in a better place before we had it. But it just opens a whole new set of.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we are now. We haven't had anything in the past, so I'm just excited to get something. We talked about it, I think the NIRSA meeting in Regina last year. A bunch of the universities and stuff were there, and that seemed like the one that people had the least amount of problems with. But yeah, we're starting from scratch, so I'm hoping for decent.
So earlier, I think it was Leanne mentioned that you have to get engagement on fitness classes. If we did it collectively, would that count at your university for engagement?
I think so for us. I think so. And that's actually something that came up on one of my calls internally of us potentially joining with a number of Canadian schools. So I would have to vet that through our, various levels. And we've become slightly more siloed with us all working at home. It's made it more challenging, but I would say, yeah, it would definitely count as engagement if we had approval and we were able to do it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way, depending on how we did it, that we could identify what school each person is from. Because right now we'd just be able to have engagements versus have an actual, how many from each school. So that might be a little bit more of a challenge, but maybe if we do Zoom and they have to pre-register, and one of the questions on pre-registration is your school, would give us the actual data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that this, the 2020 recreation movement, when you sign up, you have to put in all of your school's email addresses. So at CAP, we're at Capilano U, or the students are at my.capilano U. And so when you register your school, you put those in, and then the students have to sign up with that email. So then that kind of automatically shows where the students are from.
That would be great. Just writing down future things to pass on so that they can investigate to see if we could have a Canadian version of that for fall.
Yeah, I was wondering if we would have issues being a Canadian school, because I think the data such as their emails would be stored in the States for this program. So I don't know if that would be an issue. So it'd be great to have a Canadian version.
I think all legal departments would have to agree at all the same. I know ours are picky. I'm sure they all are. Everyone has their thing, but we just have to make sure that in terms of contracts and content, where things are stored, keeps everyone happy, which could be a larger issue. Never know.
It could be, but even if we can't use the NIRSA platform, if we were to use Zoom, and then each of us are recording and sharing information on a Google Doc with the pre-registrations, like even if each one of us took one day and was doing it, like you're only doing it once every, well, there's 8 of us here, so once every 8 days, that's a lot better than trying to coordinate all the data for every single class that you're running. So just a thought maybe we should work on and see how our universities would let it fly for next meeting.
That would be a good idea.
Any other thoughts for fall?
I was wondering, I have a few ideas, and I have to talk about them tomorrow in a meeting with my department around engaging students if we're virtual. Mm-hmm. So obviously we've all been working on classes, but I was thinking about doing things that would have more engagement, potentially like a fitness competition. I know we've done in the past, we've done a step competition, and we've done we tracked attendance to cycling classes in the January, where we were like the first to get to 2020. So 2020 kilometers logged by our cycling classes in the first week of January. We did, and then we wanted to get 2020 participants in fitness. And so I was thinking, like, what kind of fun competition stuff could we put in for, sorry, there's noise over there. This is my working from home life with dogs and kids. What other kind of, like, could we do some sort of fun competition for the campus and for our students? What was some of the other stuff I was thinking about? Maybe giving people, we've talked in the past and we've never done it, about workout buddies. And we've never really done it just because of the extensive liability that goes into if we were to partner people up and have them meet at the gym. That idea comes forth at least kind of once a year. But it always gets, we just haven't done it because of liability and that. But I was thinking about some sort of accountability, right? That if you're participating in a workout, how we could get our student members accountable and feeling accountable the way they do when they come to a class or when they come to the gym and they see their friends. We did a for our department, for staff, we've done a wellness challenge where we've tracked workouts, walks, runs. Like a workout is one thing, a walk or a run is one thing, how many books you've read, how much water you're drinking, yoga sessions, and we do collective points for all those things. We usually do one we've been doing it every 3 weeks or so. And so when then people submit their trackers, and this is just our staff, right? So it's a smaller group of people, and we give out prizes. So the person with the most, who walked the most gets a prize. The person who did the most workout hours gets a prize. It's all honor system. So that's easy to do when you're just doing it internally with full-time staff. But I was thinking, how could we take something like that and put it out on campus? Maybe connect students with each other. So yeah, if anybody has any great ideas there, we'd love to hear them.
Or was it just people writing it down?
What's that?
Are you using a software for all of that, or?
No, for our department, we just wrote it down. People did track it. I mean, I used my Apple Watch and tracked all my mileage. We were told, though, you know, it's going to be based on honor system, but when you submitted your tracker, you could submit screen caps of your, you know, your month total and stuff like that. But we didn't make people do it. We did it honor system. Now, I think if we were to do something campus wide, we would have to, I know Carrot does this. Are you familiar with that? They do the step counts and you can connect that with your phone. I was wondering about any other kind of, online system where they, like the way Fitbit does, that you can track and do a group competition.
We were doing, we started something called through UWalk. Our leagues coordinator set it up, and they sent it out campus-wide and sent emails out, but that's just walking, and I think you can connect some of the devices to it directly, and if it doesn't, you manually enter your steps. Or if you work out, there's vigorous activity or moderate activity, and sometimes I think that's, you know, suggestive on who you are and what you consider vigorous and what you consider moderate. But so there's always room for error, but most of it has been, you know, fun and honor system tracking. It's gone really well. We usually have prizes at the end of it, and they're usually more, instead of the winner, it's a random draw of anyone who entered their steps during this time. But I do like the idea of you're spreading it out, because not everyone necessarily is as active as everyone else. You want to encourage movement of any kind, and so it's nice, or whether the activity goes into reading or crap, whatever it is, but it's nice to record all that.
Mental wellness type things, right? Like we included meditation. I teach yoga, and actually that was something I'm going to start doing, is I was going to do taped meditations this is a time when everybody's anxious and and life is not normal. So I thought we were going to put out some meditations. Has anyone done that yet?
Some of our counselors are running that through us.
Okay.
Some kind of guided meditation.
Yeah, because I wanted to know if there was a positive response to it, because I want to try it. I'm not sure.
It's been slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's one thing that we're really struggling with is being able to, or figuring out how we're going to market all of this stuff. We haven't gotten really approval in the past to send a mass email to students. Staff is easy. We're able to send that to them, but it's the student part of everything that is difficult. So we're trying to figure out, Fusion was going to be part of it, right? Because we were getting their app. So we were hoping to push some information to them. That's now kind of probably off the table. So we're just trying to figure out our best way to kind of go about it.
Well, once Fusion is set up, it is good for sending out mass emails.
Yeah.
And we get lots of bounce backs because we do the input, and the emails are right or wrong, or people check their nexus, but at least it's getting it out there, and you're.
Leon, we tried to do Strava, so it's an app tracking like cycling, rowing, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we've been doing virtual 5Ks and 10Ks. It hasn't really gotten very far, again, because I think of marketing, but that's something we're gonna try to push come September again, when we can kind of get a little bit of a better messaging to it all. And it doesn't have to be a daily thing, but you're trying to get that in a week, right? Some people can get that in a day, but if we did a 5 and a 10, maybe a half as well, try to get some people involved there.
We've done bingo sheets as well on Instagram. So we post an Instagram sheet, and they have to post a picture of what they completed, and then they can post another picture of the bingo card that they've crossed off. So there's 2 engagements per each thing, and then whether it's a weekly challenge or a monthly challenge for them to get a bingo. Because then you can switch it up each week, right? So this week we're just doing a T, this week we're doing 4 corners or whatever. So that's one idea that you can use on any of your social media platforms.
I like that one. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that, and I've seen a lot of them actually out there, so it's kind of fun. Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I'm noticing a lot of engagement on is the TikTok videos. There's so many workouts that are short and cute. But when you think about it, so my son has started watching these. Well, we have an account, but we don't have an account. You can download the app but not actually make an account, so that we watch them together. And then he spends hours trying to do these little routines. So we never actually produce the video, but if you could put out these TikTok videos with one of your students, or send this is the challenge this week, show us what you got, and see what they can come up with. That's a way of engaging on a platform that they are all over. And even if you didn't want TikTok, you could get them to submit it to you via Facebook or Instagram or another platform that you're allowed to use it. Although they're very short, the actual practicing of them takes a while. And it's neat to see all the families that are engaging, and you see, the mom and the dad and the grandma and the grandpa all on these TikTok videos, learning these little routines. I think it's something that we have to consider for the fall.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
I know my university would never allow us to make a TikTok account, but we could definitely, because of all the privacy issues that TikTok has, but we could definitely use a TikTok inspired type of video to be able to go viral. And maybe that's something we do together, because we could challenge each other's universities to see. And then we meet, on Friday to discuss which school did the best job at producing these or had the best participation. Because maybe we make it an ego thing, because everyone hates Westerns. So that might get us going that way.
I like that idea.
I just like the idea of anything that we can do together, because one, it helps us do less work. Not that I'm being lazy, but I think that right now we're all have less time and don't have the time to dedicate to all of this as much. I see kids walking around in the background, and I know I just had a fight about homework, so I'm right there with you guys. But also, if we can get students to have pride about their school, but also realize that, you know, we are all in this together. Can we get our engagement up together?
Yeah, and even getting the new students to be involved. I know we're going to have a lot of new ones come September, and they're not going to really know what we're about. So
yeah, exactly.
On the it has brought us a lot closer. All of it. None of us had really chatted much before, so this is quite nice doing this. So I think anything we can do together, it brings more to our student population, and it brings, you know, I think it also brings, I think, better quality. Working together instead of everyone running on the shoelace of trying to figure out something new, and you're all sharing because everyone's got different expertise and experience with different things. So definitely helps.
Absolutely. I'm just looking over my list to see kind of what we have so far for next meeting. And so what I've done is Fusion is to reserve a future meeting to see the booking reservations, to see if we can have a Canadian version of the NIRSA app, and so that we can have competitions for engagement, and then talk about how we can market these classes in the fall, how we can possibly work together to have an online presence together, and with that have some challenges and some competitions, friendly or not so friendly. Anyone else think of anything that I'm missing?
I have a question about fitness centers, and I guess probably your studios as well. Are you guys going to do anything different cleaning wise when you guys come back? I've seen some of those like vaporizer disinfectant things. Like, do you guys have something like that? Or are you guys thinking of getting those? How often? I think it was Leanne you talked about, or maybe it was you, Michelle. Every 15 minutes of every hour will be kind of disinfecting, right? I guess how many of you have them now, and where did you get them? Those sorts of things, if you know.
We have a couple foggers for our building. We bought a second one. I don't know where we bought it from. Our facilities manager got it.
Okay.
And our plan is to do, and it's a very loose-goosey plan because on one hand, I have a really large document where I've been borrowing stuff from NIRSA and coming up with ideas and talking to people of all the protocols we're gonna have to put in place when we reopen. And then on the other hand, we're preparing for September to be completely virtual, right? So I don't think if McMaster goes virtual for classes, academic classes, I don't think we will be open at all in the athletic center. I think we'll be the last to come back. That's my guess, but I have no idea. We really don't know. But we are, I was going to say, maybe in our subsequent meeting, we could dedicate like when we all get closer to reopening, if you all think that you're probably closed at least until the end of June, if not the whole entire summer, it would be good to have a follow-up call and just talk about reopening, or make that the big focus of all the things that we're going to put in place. The fogger, Chris, is you can do it once a day. You can do it several times. I think you need to let the solution settle. Okay. And it takes 15 minutes or so for it to complete its germ killing power, or whatever it is it does. So we were talking about going through the space, having people do 45-minute workouts, and then, so at 1:45 you're kicked out, and then the next group can come in at 2. But there's all kinds of things to consider in addition to, training staff around more extensive cleaning, and then also training members around more extensive cleaning, making sure they're compliant and doing everything they need to do. Yeah, so we've been thinking about it a lot, but we're not really there yet with a plan.
Yeah, because I know, well, thinking about members in the first place, they're not really, majority not very good at cleaning, so yeah.
I'll try to put the link. I found a document yesterday that I quite liked. I'll just do that right now. And I'll share it with you all, because it's I think I found it through NIRSA, but I've been looking at so many things I can't remember where, but they just had a pretty good little system for reopening with lots of steps, including thinking about communication before you open and giving a name to your plan, like member ready, member safe, you know, that you have one name that you use on all communications so that your members start to recognize it as this is part of the plan of how they're going to be safe in the gym and all that kind of stuff. So I'll see if I can.
I think
We have had some really good documents on NIRSA's website the last week or so.
So Western owns one, like facility owns one, and then we have ordered we have one of our own, and then we've ordered 3 more for our building, and they're the backpack sprayers, and they take about 30 seconds to dry, which is the only way I think we could manage to get everything turned over so quickly. But there will be a lot of turnaround in terms of, are our part-time student staff who are non-union allowed to use these? Because currently union staff use them. But I can't pay the wage of a union member to stand around for 45 minutes to work for 15. So it'll be definitely interesting. And I was just looking to see if I could find the link for it, and I can't, but I will have it for our next meeting and send it so that I can share it for the next.
Were they fairly pricey?
I'm thinking around 400.
Oh, okay. That
So
is less than what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like $4,000 or $5,000, but
No,
okay.
no.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, no, they're not there. I think you're right, Michelle, that they're around less than 500. We have the same issue as I'm trying to find out if our staff are even going to be allowed to use it. And then we haven't really explored the whole thing with the Joint Health and Safety Committee around what is actually being sprayed, and is it, you know, what PPE is required to spray a chemical that's killing bacteria and viruses, right? So I can't imagine that it could possibly be good for your lungs.
It's all those questions that we're going to have to face to reopen. So I think if we put that on our next meeting too, to talk about what sort of things we think are going to happen and how that's going to go, that will definitely help the rest of us if we can all get on the same page. For cleaning is a big issue as well. Even one of the things that I talked about when I was thinking about making these stations that people could register for and come in and use it is that you can't have people sharing dumbbells.
Right.
So like how many sets of dumbbells, or do you let people walk in and go, okay, you can take 2 sets of dumbbells from this rack into your center and that's all you get for 45 minutes. Like there's all of those pieces that we're going to have to play out to see how I'm actually going to be able to do this.
I was on a call, one of these webinars with NIRSA, and there was a bunch of all the American schools, and they were saying, one of them was saying they were only going to open up their selectorized equipment, which my members would lose their mind. But it was just an interesting perspective, right? Because they said it's pretty straightforward to clean. It's one person at a time. You sit, you finish your set, you don't work in. They don't want dumbbells, and I think they're opening now.
Yeah.
Whatever school this was, it's happening really soon. So hopefully, I mean, we all want to get back to normal desperately, but we have to wait till things are a little more safe. And I think in Canada, we're doing the right thing of taking some time around it, and we can observe what happens in the US. So hopefully by the time we are able to open, we'll have more normal, quote unquote, normal facilities where we can space things, but allow people, to use the dumbbells, and there'd be cleaning protocols, and maybe the risk would be a little less by then.
It's going to be an adventure. We're going to be experts by the time this is over.
One of the things in BC, some of the rec centers are looking at trying to do outdoor classes because it's being deemed a little bit safer, and you can spread people out, have them bring their own equipment and mats and that kind of thing. So that's one of the things I'm tentatively thinking about for the fall. I don't know if we'll be allowed to do that, but even using like an outdoor field space, you could do yoga or boot camps if we are allowed to offer anything in person, even if it's just maybe for employees that are back on campus. Yeah, that's one of the things we're thinking about.
One thing we've talked about here as well, we have some mountain bikes and canoes and those sorts of things. So we've talked about renting those out or else doing some sort of a kind of get together where we can all go and do it at the same time. But I don't know if we'll be allowed to. Same idea.
So we've done outdoor yoga and outdoor Pilates before, and it works really well for us in the summer. In the fall, given Ontario, you can have a few classes, but if there's rain or things like that, it makes it hard. The other thing for us is goose poop. So no matter where we are, it sounds ridiculous, but Western geese are legendary and aggressive. So to find an area that is not covered in goose poop is also really hard, but it might be something that we have to explore. Maybe you dress for outdoor weather and we do boot camp or we do something else. Outdoor classes is definitely something we should think about in the fall. Anything else you guys wanted to touch base on today?
No, I think I'm good, and I have to hop on another call in 3 minutes, but this has been helpful. It actually makes me feel a little better seeing other faces of people who are going through the same thing. So thank you all.
Yeah, thanks. I think we'll do this again the first week of June if that works for everyone. And then now that we have a kind of list, I'll release a tentative agenda so that we can have our links and things available and then know what schools would possibly be interested in participating for fall to get some digital content out and direction in terms of what you'd be requiring for scripts, any clothing policy that we'd have to agree on for instructors. There's so many questions going through my head right now that we could talk about for our next meeting.
Oh, great.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
have a great day.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys in a month.
Right on.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.